All right, let's get started. I'm going to jump into the agenda here. I'm going to go through these first few things rather quickly, and then we're going to slow way down and take a little bit of time to explore some really interesting things that we can do with the platform and how I use Usign to solve some major problems along the way, issues that we have and things that I want to deal with. And it opens up really cool doors for me. So we'll be talking about that this morning as well. So the first thing I want to do is remind you again, and I do this every week, that we'll resume a definite schedule very soon. We're getting really close to that point. We're not there yet. Hey, Elle, we're not there yet, but we are working on creating a defined schedule very soon where we'll walk through a certain process for several weeks in a row. So that training will follow a pattern. We did that last year. The pattern that we followed was how do you create a brand? How do you use colors and fonts and imagery and all of the things that are necessary in order for you to communicate the purpose of your brand. So, and then we've done that before with print on demand companies, because your designs are not an end in of themselves. Your designs are actually part of a bigger picture. And so we plug that design process into the bigger picture, and we'll be doing that very soon. We're not posting the replays until after the transition on the platform is complete. We have about one or two more major updates that we're going to do very soon, and Paul may be able to give us an update on where he is with that. And Paul's on with us this morning, as he always is, and we really, really appreciate that. I was thinking the other day about how much better it is to have somebody else that I can bounce things at as I'm doing this. When we used to have help that we could do that with, and then we didn't, and so it's really been helpful to have Paul on with us as we go through this. So. But we'll be posting the replays very soon. In fact, I'm actually debating on whether to post this replay or not, with a disclaimer at the beginning that some things may look a little different in the very near future. So I'm thinking about whether I'm going to get that done or not. That may happen. We'll see how this webinar goes this morning, and we'll keep you updated on that. The replays and the documentations may reflect the things that could change. And I say this every week, and every week somebody posts something someplace that says, I found this, and it was a video from 2017. It's like, things have changed since 2017. It's not the same platform as it was. So just keep that in mind. That's the rationale for why we don't do the replays at this moment in time. The next thing is, there's nothing that you can't do without the updates. I keep talking about the updates, but there's nothing that's holding you back from being able to use the platform. The platform is fully functional. It is capable of creating designs. It may or may not be able to take the designs that you've reproduced in the past and be able to have them exactly as perfect as they were before. You may have to modify them just a little bit. You may have to make some tweaks to them. You may have to find them. But keep that in mind, that that's all part of that transition process that we talk about, okay? There is a Usign session on Thursdays, and I will be talking about that one very next. And then we're also going to be adding a feedback system for the coming webinars. And there's a couple of other things that are involved in this update, and I'll be sharing those with you as well. If any of you are attending, or any of you attending that session on Thursday, let me know. I know Kat is. Is there anyone else that's attending those sessions? Arnie says yes. Lucy said she couldn't get it. She got in yesterday. Gary's on. Good. So we've got people who are attending those sessions, and I'm going to share the replay with you. We have the replays of those are available. All right, that may have been a time issue. I don't know. The time zone thing drives me crazy. I'm going to give you the replay right now. This is oh, I'm sorry, wait a minute. One more thing I want to do before I get to the replay, okay? And let me grab the URL for that so I can give this to you while we do this. All right, that's the replay from yesterday. And but before I get to that, I want to address a couple of other things. Yeah, I don't deal with the time zone issues. We've had enough trouble with that as it is, and so I'm not even going to pretend to know that I know the answer to that. Where's the problem? we had some people posting that they couldn't log in this morning. And always, let me just give you a little helpful hint right here. There's a website called Is It Down for Everyone or Is It Just Me.com. And if you will put Usign in the status there that you're trying to find Usign.com, or whether it is down for everyone or just me, that will immediately tell you whether it's uniquely your situation or if it's a universal problem and it's down for everybody. That avoids you having to post it in the group and everybody panic and go find out. Every time that happens, I always log in to make sure that you can log in and make sure that's not a universal problem. But this is a really good place to find this out. Actually, last week had someone who couldn't log in, not to Usign, but to a different platform. And we discovered that the router was blocking that particular site for whatever reason. Don't have any idea what the reason is, but sometimes you just fix things. And so we cleared the cache on the router and restarted that, and the problem went away immediately. They were able to log in. So there's lots of reasons why things are down. Usually this is a great way to find out whether you need to look at it within your system or we need to look at the system as a whole. Okay. And sometimes we need to isolate that based upon regions. So just keep that in mind. Before you post, always check out this site right here. Is it down for me? Is it down for everyone or is it just me? And that will tell you if the problem is yours or if it is a universal problem. Okay, everybody understand that? Larry says he's used that site many times, and that's just a really, really helpful way to find out before we start trying to search outside of my own system. and oftentimes the problem is in my system. Actually, more times than not, the problem is inside my system. And but our site-side servers are looking at that, and they will give us an update pretty soon. Okay. Any questions about that? You understand why this is so important right here? Being able to know, because then in the time it takes to report back and forth, you could have figured out, okay, maybe I just need to restart my router, or maybe I need to clear my cache, or maybe I need to restart my computer or something like that. Y'all are kind of quiet. This is something that I wrote a while back, and I'm going to share it with you this morning. I actually wrote this for the benefit of a different site. But I changed two sentences in there. I changed this sentence right here, developer skills, and I changed this sentence here, focus your attention on the problem. But this is a really simple thing to understand. I was talking about a software product is a tool. That's all it is. It's a tool. It's a great tool, but it's a tool. Like all tools, it requires time to develop the skills needed to use it properly. I see people trying to get a tool to do things without acquiring the requisite skills. That's a real common problem. I can't just throw the software at it. I actually have to know what I'm doing when I throw the software at it. And so I wrote this for that purpose. The hammer in the picture doesn't create the project, Craftsman does. Master the basics, develop your skills, focus attention on the problem that you solve, not the problem that you think you have. Become a student of the outputs and your markets, for those things will serve you far better than adding every bell and whistle pitched to you every day. When you do, you'll soon pass your apprenticeship and you'll find yourself on the short end of the path that leads to mastery. Then if you make it to the end, if mastery becomes your accomplishment, you'll laugh at the fact that you let such things frustrate you in the beginning. And I just want to remind everybody of that. Every time you use a tool, whatever the tool is, and it doesn't matter what the tool is. It doesn't matter what piece of software it is. It doesn't matter what software process it is. It matters that you learn to master the tool. You can have the greatest tool in the world and accomplish nothing if you don't have the skills that go with it. All right, everybody understand that? The replay of yesterday's sessions is sharing our vision for 2021. This is from Bartram, and he's going to tell you the process that we went through and how we got to the place where we are today and where we plan to go during 2021. For those people who decided that we weren't doing enough fast enough. We weren't doing enough for them. They need to understand what the vision is. We have a very clear vision for where things are going. And I remind you oftentimes, you can do everything that you could ever do and then some where we are right now. We're not waiting for this vision to be fulfilled. I just gave the link earlier. Robin, the link's up earlier in the comments. So you'll find that this is it right here. Come on here. There we go. Same link I shared before. But nothing's holding you back. You can do everything that you ever were able to do before. And you just need to pick up where you were at and move on and stop fumbling and stumbling. And you'll see that we have a very clear vision for the future and what we're trying to accomplish. And you'll be pretty excited as you see what that is. I want to show you one more thing today, discovering more on the blend tool. Somebody said last week, Eric, I think that's becoming your favorite tool. The fact is that it is. And I am finding all kinds of things that even I hadn't thought of to do that with. And Paul shared one with me this week that I thought would be important for you all to say, because I do this every change of the season. We do this little image lettering thing. Y'all remember we do this once or two or three times a year. And we do it every time there's a change. We try to do it every time there's a change in the season. And we use the image appropriate background. Winter's not a really good one to do that with, but spring is, fall is. There's some fascinating colors that you can do that. And we do this, what we call image lettering. And we do that frequently. Y'all remember doing that in the past? But there were some steps that were involved. Give me a little feedback here. There were some steps involved, and those steps were kind of lengthy. We don't have those lengthy steps anymore. And this will be pretty cool as I show you what these are, because we can do this in basically 3 mouse clicks. And that's pretty awesome, because before what we had to do is we had to put the letters up there. We had to do the outline of the letters. We had to take the no fill. We had to save that. We had to create it as an image and remove the background. There were several steps involved in that, but the output was pretty cool. And everybody kind of enjoyed the output. I'm going to show you how to do this now with the blend tool, and you will be absolutely amazed. Absolutely amazed. And I was amazed at how fast you could do that. You need to make sure you do it in the right order, but once you do that, you go, wow, that is just amazing. So I was playing with looking for something that I could use to give you an illustration of where I might put those image letters using the new design ideas for 2021. And I ran across this image just in my search for a street or an alley or something like that. And I found something in this image. I found 2 areas where I could drop a letter or letters or number or numbers, and they would look pretty cool in this imagery here, and they would be very subtle. And those 2 areas are this window area right here and this area right here. The problem is that when you drop a letter over the top of that, there's some conflict in the background. I'm going to show you how to make those background go away, and we'll play with that. Okay, that's going to be the last thing that we do in case we run out of time. If we run out of time, we'll pick up with that, and we'll do that the first thing next time. Okay, that sound good? The next thing is I frequently use Zion to solve problems. And I have a problem. There's a couple of us that are working on a project where we needed to be able to make placards that could be placed at the beginning of an event. And we needed to have a 2-foot by 3-foot placard that we could put on an easel and set it in front of the event registration area and do that. And so we would take a QR code and put some things around that QR code that would be helpful. And I'm going to show you how to do this, how to achieve this using one of the print-on-demand companies that we've talked about in the past. So we'll take this process as well. Now, before I jump out of this agenda, I have a couple of questions before we go. I did two things last week in the Friday webinar, both of which I made brief videos of and put in the group. One of them was on using the blend tool, and the other one was on how to make the video frames around the outside of a video, have the video play underneath that, and create a frame for the video. Believe it or not, the video frames were the most popular of the two. In fact, 3 times more people watched the video on the video frames than watched the video on the blend tool, which means we still need to understand just how powerful that blend tool is. Now, how many of you watched either of those videos? I'm just curious because they went up pretty quickly in the group. Y'all have gotten out of the habit of responding here. So I need you to respond. Okay, then good. You're telling me that you didn't watch it, so that's all right. So the overwhelming numbers were people who weren't on the webinar. That's a good thing. That's important for me to know. We're not doing the replays. Robin, how many times do I have to say that? We're not doing the replays until later. We post the videos of what we did in the replay or in the webinar. We're posting that in the Facebook group. Okay, they're in the Facebook group. They're in the Facebook group. All right, now what we're going to do is we're going to jump over to Usein. I'm going to start at the beginning here, and I'm going to show you how to do this cool little thing that we did with the, this is going to be the final image. This is going to be the problem solving image. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to do this little thing over here that we do every spring, every fall. So I'm going to show you how to do these letters right here. The first thing we're going to do, the very first thing that we're going to do is we're going to add text to this white background. So I'm going to grab a text. I'm going to put in the word, I'm going to cap. I'm just going to use the word spring. I'm going to make that larger and make my text larger by using the keyboard shortcuts, holding down the control key and using the up arrow key. All right. Now I've got a nice big spring here in the middle. One of the things that I want you all to watch very carefully. Okay, I want you to watch this. And that is, I'm going to center this. People keep saying, I wish there was a way to snap to center. There is. Just do this right there. So you have both. I put it in the middle and I put it in the middle. It was the middle horizontally and the middle vertically. And so now I have this. I want to make sure that letters are very black. So I turn them to the boldest black on a white background. And now I'm going to grab a graphic image from my integrations using Pixabay, and I'm going to grab an image that is spring-like. Okay, and I realize, there we go. So now I'm going to select, let me get this, I need to adjust this so I can see your comments as we go. Let me make this a little bit smaller. So I want to now put a spring kind of, I want to make the letters be a spring look, okay? So I'm just going to pick this. That's probably not going to look as amazing as I want it to. So let me get rid of that one and let's use this one instead. This one looks more awesomer. Yes, that's my word for the day, awesomer. I'll make this a little bit larger. Now, notice I have covered up. Notice I have covered up the letters on here, okay? So from this graphic image on the top, I'm going to find my special effects tool, scroll down to the bottom, and I'm going to hit multiply. And when I hit multiply, the black shows through. But if I do this instead, if I hit screen, then I end up with that. Did you see how simple it was to do that? Okay, cool. All right, do y'all follow the process here? This is what's selected here. I'll turn this off again. I'll turn it back to normal. What this now, when I blend that background, I hit screen, I blend that background, I'm taking that image and removing all the black from it. Now watch what I can do here. I'm gonna delete the image. I'm back to this step right here. What I'm gonna do, I'll address that in just a second, Paul, walking through the steps for this. I'm gonna make that white. Now the text is going to be white. The background is going to be black in this case. So now I have this, okay? Now we'll go back over here to Pixabay and we'll grab an image. In this case, we're gonna use this image right here. And what I want to make sure that I do is I get the most color. I want to have the maximum amount of color where the text is going to show through. Okay. Can somebody give Lucy the link for the Facebook group, please? The Designers Facebook group, so we can get her approved. I'm looking more carefully here. Let's see. No, you don't have to multiply first. I was just showing you the both of the tools that we're going to use. So in this case, because this is a black background, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this time, and now I'm going to use multiply, because multiply removes or blends the black. The screen blends the white, okay? So I'm going to select multiply. And see how I've got, that's the reason why I positioned that the way I did, and you can position this now. I wanted to make sure I got the maximum amount of color in it, so you'd have the contrast. But you need to make sure, yes, you can use any image, but you need to make sure that you have a black on white or a white on black, one or the other. Yeah, my background here is not completely black. I see that. Back over here. It's best if you have that background as black can be. Okay. Come on, Eric, move that pointer. There we go. And then that makes the rest of it fade out. All right, you see that? Now, as we had been asked before, we were asked once about making gradient letters here. Let's do this. Let's take a graphic over here, and this time we'll put in gradient. And we'll see what Pixabay gives us for a gradient. All right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this top image. I'm going to hit the replace tool, and I'm going to replace that image with this. And that's the image that we have here. Now I'm going to add the multiply. And you see we've created a gradient in the lettering. And that's a great way to create a gradient background. Okay. Then you just kind of reposition this to where you get exactly what you want. Anything that you can do that transparency with, you can do. So if I had a, here's a good example of this. We'll take this one because we have a lot of color change in this. But again, it's completely dependent upon what you overlay it with. Grab my tool here, hit multiply, and now you see that gradient from here to here. But it's completely dependent upon what your gradient overlay is. And as Paul said, you can create your own gradient if you want to do that. We have some gradients that will be in future updates. So all of these things that we're learning right now, all of those things are headed in a direction where when they come together, we're showing you how to do this now. But when we add those additional gradients, then you'll have those pieces to be able to add into this puzzle, and you won't just be dependent upon the gradients that are right here. Yeah, the options that you have with this to do the very simple thing that we just did here was you either use a white background with black lettering or a black background with white lettering, as we're showing right here. But in the past, in order to do this, what we had to do is we had to take the word spring, we had to do a no fill on the tool. We had to do a no fill, and then we had to export that image, remove the background from the image, put the image as an overlay over the top of the work that we wanted to have, the image letters, and then save that image. So there were several steps involved in it. Now there's only 2 steps. You create your lettering here on either a black or a white background, and then you simply lay the image over the top of it. And this is what you get. Now, when you do the output, and I save this to a JPEG file, and I do the output, then it shows up as just exactly what you see right here, okay? Yeah, I can change this back. I did it once. I can change that background. We can go back and forth, but black and white are your 2 options. And so I'm going to change the color of the letters. And in this case, I'm going to use black. Move this back over here. And now I'm going to, instead of using the multiply, I'm going to use screen. And I have the same effect that I had before. Chandler, last week we went through the preview to discuss the fact that our previews were grossly outdated and they needed to be updated, and updating those are important in the future, okay? All right. Well, that's kind of a cool way to make some really timely, and I believe that they're very timely. I like to do this in the spring and the fall. Try to do it on every change of the season. We'll do it. We'll take a brief moment and do this. But this is kind of a fun way to do it. This eliminates so much work. Before, there were multiple steps. I had to download an image. I had to upload that image again. I had to remove the background from that image. And then I had to create a new image. And there were several steps that were involved in it. Now, it simply creates the text, lay the image that I want the letters to appear in, and either if it's on a white background, select screen. If it's on a black background, I select multiply. And I'm done. It's 3 mouse clicks. And that's it. Now I can save this image and do anything I want to with it. And you'll notice over here, I have saved this image in this style, okay? And I've also saved it in this style. So you can see it both ways. So I've saved the image both ways. I can take this image now, or this image here, and remove the background from it. So if I take this image and I select remove background, I now have this in a transparent format. Okay, so that's my transparent format. Let me get rid of everything that preceded that. So now I have that sitting on a white background. I'm going to change the background. I'll just do this one because it's going to give you a stark contrast. Make sense? Now, the next step is, with this transparent image, is I want to take just this letter S, okay? I'm going to take just that letter S, and I'm going to crop it out. So I can use just the S. To do that, I'm not going to mess with anything here. I'm just going to simply hit the crop tool, and now I'm going to take this down to here, pull this over here. I'm going to crop this real tight. And I now have an S in that color, or colors, or image, or however you want to refer to that. Okay, cool. And you can see the difference this makes. Okay, there was in the design concepts for the coming for 2021. There was a way to just isolate letters like this and make them just randomly part of your graphic. And you can see the difference that makes. It's just interesting. But when you throw this color imagery behind here, it makes a big difference, right? It really adds a new dimension to your design elements. Keep saying that all the time, that design is an evolutionary process and you need to keep current with what's happening. And I say that a lot. And I think it's very important that you understand how the value that brings, okay? So that brings me to the next step. What if I wanted to put that S right here? What if I thought that S belonged in this section right here? Could I do that? Could I do that? And that's a really good question, L. That's a great way to get your metallic as well, by the way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if I still have that S. If not, we're going to recreate it just like we did just before. So I'm going to recreate this. I'm going to remove the background. It's gone. I'm going to crop it tight. I'm going to show you exactly, just so y'all can see that the crop tool does exactly what the crop tool is supposed to do. You just happen to find it in the background removal tool rather than on the main dashboard. I have more flexibility with it now than I had before. All right, so this conflicts too much with the background, right? Y'all with me? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play with this background. I'm going to fix it just a little bit. I'm going to show you how to fix this one, okay? And I'm going to grab this image first, and I'm going to resize it slightly. Let's see if I can get this so that it works. Make that just a little bit taller. I'm going to move it over here. And I noticed that when I put it right here, I'm going to move this background down a little bit because I want that windowsill to fade into what we're doing here. And this is a way to mask using Uzi, okay? So I'm going to pull this over a little bit like that. And now my color picker, I'm going to take this, I'm going to change the color of this. Take my color picker. I'm going to make it the same color as the windowsill. All right. Y'all with me? Now, I've got this little triangle up here in the corner. So I'm going to add a triangle. The problem is that they're not the same shape triangle. So I'm going to have to modify the shape a little bit. And we'll do it like that. I'll rotate that. And we'll see how close we came. Not too bad for a beginner, right? Make these two colors match. How's that look? Now we take the S and we slide it over here, move it to the top. How fast and easy was that? It's a subtle part of the image, right? Of course, you can rotate the S. I can do with it whatever I want. I can make it a skinny S if I want to. I can't make this is a flat image, so I can't make it have the same perspective. That would require me being able to pull the corners in an opposite direction. I can't do that. So there's some limitations with that. But again, remember, we're placing a flat image on a flat image. But that's how you modify a graphic to do something really cool, okay? And you could do exactly the same thing with the graffiti on this wall over here. As a matter of fact, that's the first one that I did. The very first one that I did was I created this. Went over here. This required a little bit more. This required a little bit more fussing. Not much, but a little bit more. Bring that over like this. And then slightly like that. And the interesting thing is that the color kind of obscures any issues in the detail here. So now that you use your blur tool, increase the blur on that. Make that fit inside here. Now, this covers this up fairly well, particularly with the blur. And it makes a big difference if you do this. I'm going to duplicate that, not because I think two of them belong on this image, but you'll see what I mean. Bring that to the front. How come that image is not coming to the front? Huh. That's interesting. We'll send this one to the back. But that kind of obscures the blue or the blur here, okay? Because the focal point becomes the letter. All right. But you understand, you can modify an image if you need to do that. There's something in this image here that you want to get rid of, but you saw how easily it was to get rid of this and to obscure that or to make it fade away like I did over here. When you look at that, when you've watched this in the process of being developed, in the future, the people who will view the end result of this are not going to break it down that much. They're just going to look at it. Okay. So that was that's the way to accomplish this issue right here. Now let's go to the next thing very quickly. Okay. Any questions about this before I go? All right, then we're going to jump over here and I'm going to show you this print on demand challenge. What I did with this to make this poster, so I used the t-shirt design. So you go to prints and I selected the Teespring t-shirt. That's the big canvas area. Show you what the size of the canvas is. The size of the canvas is 1941 by 3000. When I go over here and I pull up one of these posters and I select a poster like this, I want to look at what's my image going to have to look, not Dropbox, I'm sorry. I want to know what size does that image have to be. And I've got this already stored. I've got this image already stored here. Notice this image is 7,764 pixels by 12,000 pixels. All right, y'all with me? You know how we got that. I supersized that image when I exported the ping file. When I did the export, I had the option of being able to do it 1x, 2x, 3x, or 4x, or 5x. This happens to be 4x because I wanted the maximum amount of image on that particular thing first, okay? So this is my supersized image. This was a double size of the image, and I wanted to see what the print quality of it was versus the print quality of this one. This one was much better, so we're going to select this image. And down here, you'll see what this resolution was asking for here, okay? So we solved a huge problem by supersizing the image. Make sense? Hit the preview, and this will give you what this looks like. All right? But again, you want to go to what's my output going to be, work my way backwards from the output. I know I want to have a 2 foot by 3 foot poster size image. This one happens to be 8.5 by 11. That's not really what I want. I can go back over here. You'll see the bigger posters that I chose earlier. I think this is in here. Yeah, this is it. This is it right here. That was the one I did the screen graph for a while ago. So when I select this, you see this down here, it tells me my image needs to be 7,200 pixels for the recommended resolution. My result was a high resolution, so I'm going to have good image quality here, and that's going to work, okay? And this is the 2 foot by 3 foot, 24 by 36, 2 foot by 3 foot. Any questions about that? Can you see the value of that? Now let me show you what the real value is, okay? Again, you have to see use as being now being a potential solution to very many issues that you may face. So what we want for this particular event is to be able to create this kind of a graphic. And by the way, if you try to do a QR code on this, what you're going to discover is it doesn't have anything to do with the event I'm talking about. But that wasn't intended for anything other than just I happen to have that QR code. But 24 by 36 was our desired output. That's big enough to catch people's attention as they're coming into the event and get them to scan that code and join the track. Make sense? So I went here to figure out what am I going to have to do? What do I need to have my output be so that I can get the end result? Now, when I preview it, that all looks cool. This is exactly what I was looking for. So I go back over here. Let me show you what the result is. When I create an order, do you see what my cost is? $12 for that poster. If I took it to a print shop, what would I be facing? With minimum print requirements, other things that are associated with that. Do you see how now Usign became the solution to a big problem? The big problem being a budget? Do you see why the print on demand becomes such a valuable piece of the puzzle? You'll have to check to see. I think Printify has a print company in the UK. I use the one in the US because that's where we're located and that's the easiest one for me to do. But now think about this for a moment. The intention is to get people to do this as they come in, but what if they don't do it when they come in? What if instead you decide that this would be a great opportunity for me to take my staff and have my staff, come on, man, there we go, have my staff, and I don't need to have that much for this t-shirt, but have my staff wearing the that image on their back. High resolution, everything's cool, maximum size, save the product. Y'all with me? So not only do we have it sitting at the door on a poster, but we have the same poster walking around on t-shirts. I've just used Usign to solve a major problem for me. Now let's see what it costs, stuck in my cache. The t-shirt, we'll go back over to the catalog. I'll tell you what the t-shirt costs. $18. Yeah, I tried clearing the cache, Rob. I'm not going to fuss with it. We're 8 minutes from being done. And that's as far as I'm going to go. But you see how it's easy? You've now used Usign single image, and you've solved the enormous problem. You've got posters at the door, and you have posters on the back of your staff walking around the building, right? Do you begin to see why I say we replaced the Volkswagen with a diesel truck? And that was created because Paul gave us the capability of being able to supersize that image when we exported it. Well, Dave, that's a really good question. Guess what? I've actually scanned QR codes off of people's t-shirts. So yes, it can be done. But in 4 days, you can get a t-shirt back from these guys. The best thing to do is find out. When I export the image, I'm going to export it as a PNG file. I have these options right here. That's how you supersize the image, okay? The same thing happens whether I export it as a PNG file or a JPEG, but because I want to do it because I want to do this on a t-shirt and I want to do it on a poster, I'm going to do it using the, I'm going to do it using a PNG file with a transparent background. So between the blend tool and that supersize tool, two amazing things that just cut our time to develop an image in half, because it took me no time whatsoever to create the image that I created this from. 3 mouse clicks and I'm done. Literally 3 mouse clicks. It took me longer to pick the right image than it took to create it. That made a huge difference. It used to take me 4 minutes. Now it takes 3 mouse clicks. The crop tool is always going to be on the erase the background tool. And you'll see it right there. You select the crop from that image at the bottom. And you have you'll have your crop, okay? But it's right there. Truman's asking if we can put a video in the background. The answer is you can put anything in the background you want, but you can't do it from inside ViewZine. All right, any questions? We're about to wrap up. The 3 clicks to create this type of an image right here is you first of all create the letters, all right? Put a headline on here, and in this case I'm gonna make them black as can be. So I turn that black. I select an image. Like I said, I spend more time selecting the image than anything else. So I select this image. I'm gonna stretch it this time just because I can. Move it like that. And then my 3 mouse clicks are right here. I select the special effects tool, go down here, select this, and I hit screen, and I have it. That's it. Nope, this is a static image, Lucy, not a video or a video clip or an MP4. Okay, any questions before we wrap up? Very good. Are you beginning to see the power? Because it's rather amazing. Background has to be either black or white. And then it doesn't really matter what my image is I put on top of it. I can skew this like this. Pull these corners this way. This way. All right, with that, we're going to wrap up. You all have an amazing Easter weekend, and be safe, take care, and I'll look forward to seeing you back here next Friday, same time, same place.